What's going on, everybody? So, I want to thank you all for coming back and watching another episode on my YouTube channel or podcast, whichever way that you're looking at it. Now, before we get into the episode, I want to just let you all know that me, I own a graphic design agency. So if you need any type of graphic design services, whether it's a logo, animation, illustration, I don't know, we can put you in an hour-long cartoon and have, I don't know, the Incredibles running around everywhere. Like, it really doesn't even matter. So we can do any and everything. So if you need any graphic design services, reach out to me. You can click the link down below in the description and get 20% off your first order. Now we can get into the episode. Peace. Thank you for watching. A special guest on the show, man. This is one of my guys, like, for real. His name is John Rossi. He is in radio promotions at Def Jam. So he's over at Def Jam doing his thing, man. So I figured I'd have him come through and, you know, shed a little light on how he even got started with Def Jam, pretty much everything that he has going on. We're going to, you know, touch on a lot of different topics, man, as far as just networking, the music industry in general, and just a lot of just cool stuff that'll help out a lot of creatives and then a lot of business people when it just comes to like building relationships. So I'm just really happy about, you know, just having him on the show. So, man, welcome on the show, man. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you, Nate.
No problem, man. So, you know, before we get started, just pretty much give people a rundown of, you know, who you are and what you do.
All right, so I come from the greater Boston area, which at 2000, which is where I started off in the music game. So in 2007, I started running around with my friend's father, helping him out with his business. He had a company that had accounts with different vendors to do field promotions, which is aka street team promotions. So he had accounts with music companies, record labels, and also companies where he got movies. He promoted some movies too. So some of the labels he had were like Def Jam, being where I'm at now, J Records, Atlantic, and you know we would run around to clubs, hand out, put flyers around the clubs of new singles coming out, new albums coming out. Get the DJ to play the record, announce that it's a new song out. Hang out posters near the club on the poles, which is a term for that, called sniping. So you put them back in front, staple them, and then you slide them up the poles. And then we take pictures, write reports, and send them to the labels. We give out T-shirts. So that was how it started out. And then sometimes the artists would come into the markets for what they would call a promo run, which still goes on today. And you know, we'd take them to the radio station. We'd also do some little things, whatever we can do some press and whatever we can do for them. And we're basically their liaison for the Boston market. So that's kind of how I got my feet wet, and I built relationships with some of these reps. And one that I built the best relationship was with this guy who works at Def Jam, and we lost the account. My team and I lost it, not for reasons of us doing a poor job, but just that they decided to move the account in a different market. But we still stayed in touch, and you know, we'd call each other. We hardly ever talked about music. It was more about sports. We talk to each other about every other week, and we talk about sports, and we talk shit about each other's cities. I talk shit about New York. He talks shit about Boston. He'd ask about each other's families, and yeah, none of it was really about music from what I remember, and it was about our, you know, well-beings, and really we just cultivated. And then every time he would come in town with an artist for a concert, he'd always give me tickets, and he didn't have to necessarily do that since we didn't have the account anymore. But then he relied on me the most, and I was his most trusted guy in Boston. And I knew that to keep that relationship good. So the next two Christmases, I always sent him a card and a little something small. First, it was a Starbucks gift card, and then the following, I found online this company that was making. They were using Nike socks, and I don't know how they were doing it, whether they were dyeing it or screen printed it, but they were putting images on it. So I found these ones that put the big image where he's in a Coogee sweater, he's counting
Yeah,
money.
that's
Yeah,
classic.
yeah. So it was on these like almost up to your like past your thigh socks, like up to your thigh, and these Nike socks, like basketball socks,
Mhm.
with that image on it. So I sent him those and a little Christmas card. So that's that was uh that was literally that was literally how I started, and I made sure to my friend's father, who I worked under in Boston, he always told me that treat your network like a toolbox, because you may need this person for something and this other person for something else. And then he just and then he would say things to me that that resonated with me, that still stick with me to this day, like get get things for someone that they're gonna be able to use and makes sense. So we're at a this is when he used that. So we're at a radio station, and Khaled was there. This is when Khaled was promoting Ace Hood, and he was promoting his
I
album. So Ace Hood was on the Def Jam, so we were there, and one of the DJs there, he just had a baby. So DJ Roy Barboza, actually. So he said, "Yo, what up? Congratulations and whatnot." And then he said to me in the car as we were leaving, he said, I could get him a bottle of champagne. I could get him buy him a bottle of champagne in the club, or I could get him something that he could really use, like a pack of formula, since he just had a baby. So
Mhm.
it's things like that he taught me. And then sometimes we would get little things that I look at him like, no, we can't give this to this person. Like, this is, and he would like say, it doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts, and the fact that I'm giving you something. It means I'm giving this person something, which means they're gonna remember that, and they don't think that I'm just trying to take advantage of them and just come in trying to get things. So even if it's something that's corny or something that they're not gonna use or whatnot, but it's just the thought that counts. So I learned a lot of things from him about relationship building and being genuine and caring and treating people with respect. So
See, no, that's something that I want. That's something that I definitely want to touch on. This is something that I feel like that entire way of like going about building that relationship is literally genius. It's literally genius, and I really feel that way. So we about to touch on this, but what I want to dig in on a little bit is, okay. So this guy pretty much got you started. He got you started with radio promo. Did he get you started with Def Jam too? Like, how did you transition over into getting into the business, into the company? How
well,
did
he didn't start me with radio. Well, he started me with promotions. So I guess you could say radio promo too. But um, so the way um the way the Def Jam relationship happened was from so when the artist would come to town for a promo run, we'd get him with some of the radio DJs and club DJs, just so they could build a rapport. Because if you're genuinely interested in an artist, in the artist shows that you care and you kind of have a relationship and there's mutual support there, the DJ is gonna support. That's just natural,
Right.
you know. That's the best way to do it. So we had a DJ dinner with this artist on Def Jam that came into town. He was named Willie. His name was Willie North Pole. He never materialized and worked out. But so the rep that came up with him was in the department, and we're outside just waiting to go inside. And you know, I always like when people show that they're kind of laid back and like to have fun, you know, because I'm someone that has laughed and smiled and just had fun ever since I was little. And so I was trying, before we went into the restaurant, I was looking through the windows to try to check the score of the Celtics game. And so I was saying out loud, I was like, oh, let me see if we're winning or not. And he said, and this is in 2009, and he turned and said to me, man, who cares about them bums? And so right then and there, we just bonded. So because I'm like, okay, he's talking shit, like he likes to have fun. So like it's all about creating that bond because you can like a chemical reaction isn't gonna happen if there's nothing there to the bond. There's no bond between the two chemicals. So once he said that, like I love to talk shit, and he was talking shit. So it was funny, like you know. So that's literally how we met, and we stayed cool, and he was genuine, and that's how the Def Jam relationship happened. He didn't know, no one really introduced me to that person, but he knew I was on the team, and that's literally how it happened. Yeah,
So pretty much just through relationship building.
yeah.
That's pretty much it. So I
And
feel like
now,
that's so vital, man. I feel like that's so vital, and I feel like when people can learn about the entertainment industry, like the number one thing that they can get out of the entertainment industry, because I feel like entrepreneurs they should have only like look in their industry for like uh ways to like improve. You know what I'm saying? Because each industry has like a certain thing about it that's like so vital to that can be so vital to what you have going on. And like what I feel like the entertainment industry has is networking, like literally, because I feel like an artist can literally. And that's something that I was talking about to you before we got on this podcast. But like I feel like a person can literally network their way into a deal without even really having that much music out.
right, right.
I really, really feel that way. So, like, even with me just saying that, how do you feel about that statement? Like, an artist being able to actually network their way into a deal. So, how do you feel about that statement?
Um, I think I think there's some truth to that, but I mean, in the end, merit matters. So if the if the quality's not there, then it's not gonna work out. If like if you can't you can network all you want, but if you're not if you're not willing to put in the work and try to become what you think you what you think you have the capabilities of becoming, or what you think you are, then it really doesn't matter. So
I don't know, cause all right, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. This is something that we can do a poll on or something. So, all right, so let me see. You got a kid. I'm not even gonna name any specific artists. You know what I'm saying? Because who knows who will be listening to this podcast. So I'm not gonna name any specific artists. But there's certain people whose parents are deeply involved in the music industry, and somehow, some way, these kids are ending up in uh in record deals without actually putting in or having a long playlist of music or a long history in music or anything with music. They literally just know somebody that knows somebody, and they're able to get in front of who can call a shot. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
now this is, like I said, I'm not gonna name any specific people, but like you just see this a lot with people who have parents in power or people who have friends in power when it comes to the entertainment industry and entertainment specifically, because I don't know, when you look at other industries, like I don't know, like if you're trying to start up a software company, it's like, okay, your dad may be Steve Jobs, but if your software isn't solving a problem, then you can't really sell it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like we can't really invest in your business. But when it comes to entertainment, you don't necessarily have to have like good music. You have to have good marketing. So like you can literally, what me I personally believe is like how I said, like you can literally network your way into a deal just by knowing the right people, like literally like literally just by
Yeah.
the right people.
I mean, that's the frustrating part about the entertainment industry is it's extremely political, and there are people like that, but consumers and people can't be tricked. So,
I agree. I,
like, there's a lot of people in positions
but
at
not speaking but
companies.
not speaking of streams though. We're not talking about streams. We're talking about a deal. Because you know some people they may
Yeah,
have a deal, but they never really materialize in their deal. So they just have a deal and it's just sitting. So like just speaking of deals specifically.
right. What was I gonna say? So deals, yeah. I mean, that does happen a lot because of relationships, but it in the end it doesn't work out very well if they're
Hmm.
not supposed to be in it. Like
I agree.
it's like I think you like that happens not just with artists but with with people, employees in the industry that are only in position because of political reasons, because they
Hmm.
know someone, and it's it's very unfortunate, but there are a lot of companies that have a lot of those people that aren't run in a productive way because they have a lot of those people.
I,
So if you got a bunch of artists with the example you're talking about where they only got in deals because of relationship, then it comes to light. Like the truth always comes to light.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
I mean, there's no reason to get mad because it like, you know,
I feel like
if you don't want to mention names, I'll mention two names. Two people's sons that we both know didn't work out. Puppy's son and Diggy, both Run DM, both, what's his name? JMS, no, Rev Run sons, both of his sons.
man.
Those are two
I,
famous examples.
I agree. I completely agree, and I feel like it's a beauty to it too, though, because I feel like if artists can really master the art of networking, that actually have good music, it'll be a lot more people with deals. It'd be a lot more people with deals, or a lot more people with a lot of buzz. You know what I'm saying? That can really master the art of networking. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm not even mad about it. I'm actually kind of happy that it's like that, to be honest, because it just takes the right people to know the right skills to get where they need to go, and they can skip a lot of steps. So like, that's something that I definitely really like about that. Now when it comes to like when it comes to like, okay, so the artist has a deal, whatever. Now it comes to how they're getting their music out there. Like, how do you feel about radio in the streaming age right now?
Ah, boy, that's a loaded question. Um, I think you got to be very strategic with it in the streaming age, and there's certain companies that are doing it right, and certain companies that are relying on old methods where you just put it in front of the mass audience and pray that it catches. Um, I feel that we now that we have the great thing about these days is that we have data that can really help us save money, actually, and make the right choices. So we still need to use gut instinct, but like if you have data where you don't see it working, what's I don't think it makes any sense to keep pushing for it on the radio end, and even in certain markets, if it's not working, don't keep pushing it. But I'm a believer that everything kind of goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So like the old school way for marketing and promoting an artist was just put them everywhere, get them on all the radio stations, get the video on all the video channels, MTV, BET, VH1, get them on a big time magazine cover, buy a couple billboards, and boom. It's just like that's what it was, get to the mass audience. But these days, I think you have to be very meticulous and understand where the audience is. So I think radio still plays a part if you use strategics and
Okay, so let me touch on something. Okay, so we know uh the way that, and I feel like after I get the answer from you on this question, I feel like this plays a lot into the way people build their social media presence as well. So after we answer this question, I'm definitely going to segue into the social media and connect it to this. Just gave me a super like good thought, but so we know how radio is being done wrong. So how are they doing radio right? Like what ways are they doing radio the right way? What ways are working? What ways are seeing results?
um
How are you all segmenting like audiences via radio?
what way is it right? Uh,
Because we know
I don't think that's a tough question to answer because they haven't innovated as much. But what way is right? Maybe just keeping their signal strong and I don't. Well, what way? Well, what way is right is actually they are using data, streaming data, and other data points to help influence their decisions for what to add on their playlists these days. So that's what they're doing right these days. It's
streaming
not just
streaming data, and I don't know if you have like deep like insights on this, but like streaming data as far as what like what type of people are streaming the music, like
what the numbers, how
what
many
locations are
people
streaming the music.
by location. Um, yeah, how many people are streaming it in that particular market of the radio station? How high it is on a chart, like a YouTube video chart. I think YouTube video might have location metrics. Um, yeah, Spotify, Apple, Shazam numbers are huge. Um, yeah, so they use, and then they use data. Some use data on if it's on some big playlist, Apple Music charts, Spotify charts.
So
So
so number one thing is location. So they're not spamming just across the United States anymore. They're actually picking certain pockets of different states and whatever to place music in to build larger audiences in those areas. Would you say that's true?
some companies, some labels are, but some labels are still spamming.
Okay.
Stuck
Okay.
in their old ways. So basically, they're literally something you probably already know. A lot of people know is the music industry is very stubborn on innovating and on
Right.
innovation. So
Okay. Okay. So location is one. Is there any other metrics that you think they're moving off of, or that you have deep insight on, as far as how they're picking these locations? I mean, these radio stations, or is mostly like is mostly location based, and they're like kind of just stuck
yeah,
in.
I think they're only scratching the surface. Like I just said, they're very slow and stubborn when it comes to evolving. So I think there's so much more they can do, and um, yeah, they're not they're not that deep on it yet on understanding
I
research.
feel like what I feel like when it comes to radio, me personally, although streaming is what streaming is right now, I still think radio is extremely important. I feel like they all play their own roles. You know what I'm saying? They all play their own roles. Also, as streaming keeps getting larger, radio promo is going to get cheaper. So like a lot of dollars are going to get thrown into radio because it's going to get cheaper to get a radio spin. So like
Right.
that's number one, where I think radio is going to end up coming back in. Also, like what I think is like different radio stations have different their listeners have different ways of thinking. So like they all have different ways of thinking. So although a person, location is great, and this is something that I feel like we can both agree on, is like location is great, but each radio station has a different type of listener in the ways that they think. So like say if you have like iHeart, right? You think of iHeart, and like when I normally think of iHeart, I think of pop, like pop music, and I
Mhm.
think of, like people having like happier, not necessarily happier lives, but their average Instagram picture would be a photo of them smiling at a beach. Like that's like that's what I think of when I think of an iHeartRadio listener. Like their average listener would be a person that's smiling at the beach. So like so like that's that. Then if I think of like a Power 105 listener, I think of a person that's like, I don't know, they got the newest Yeezys on. They got the newest Yeezys on, and I don't know, hell, they like hype beats. Like I think of hype beats when I think of Power 105. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally how I think of like each radio station. I feel like each listener just has a different way of thinking. So like if you just dig in on literally the way that the radio stations think, I don't even know if they're actually running analytics on this type of stuff or not. But if you think about the way that radio station thinks, if you place a uh let's see, who's a good artist. If you place a little baby song on a 105.1 station and spam it through those type of listeners, it'll probably be more effective than it would be streaming it on a country on a country station, or I don't know,
Yeah.
or on an IR station, just because of the way that their listeners
Oh,
think. You know what I'm saying?
Power 105 is one of iHeart's biggest stations.
Yeah, but just literally just thinking of like the overall umbrella. You know what I'm saying? The overall umbrella, like as a brand, like because normally when people think of Power 105, like they thinking of like, I don't know, like Breakfast Club, you know what I'm saying, or like or stuff like that. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like, you just think of just like the traditional like iHeart. You know what I'm saying? You think of like pop. Like that's just normally just what I don't know. Like that's just how they brand, just literally how they brand themselves. And even if you just go to like their events or just look at their events, it like gives off that vibe. Like just the I don't know. That's just me personally, like my personal take on the entire thing. But like overall, I just think like if they just had more insights on the way a person on the way that a person thinks, like how Google can literally answer so many questions about you without you ever even giving any data to Google, just based off what you click on. You know what I'm saying, or how long
Right.
you stay on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, and
Right.
that'll make your advertising way way more targeted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think they need to do more research. I think they need to do more research on the content they put out, and I think um, they need to have. I think radio started becoming less relevant when they started moving away from what made it great, which was having their own identity.
Mm,
Because the greatest thing about America is literally it feels like 52 cultures in one country.
I agree.
Where like you'd be surprised, but states that are so close to each other have such a different culture. I
I
come from
agree.
Boston. I'm in New York now, and Boston and New York are so different. When everybody tries to be like each other, then it's just pointless in a way.
Hmm.
So that's what made radio so great back in the day. Was it was literally the identity of the city. So
Hmm.
all these stations are so similar, especially iHeart stations,
Hmm.
because they think that's the way, but it's really not. Like you can't change what worked, and you can't try to out trick the formula just to make more money. So
Hmm.
that's that's what I think for it to succeed in the future, it would have to go back to I think it would have to be go back to that and make it more open format, or at least to what that city is like that it's in.
Hmm.
So and it's just about understanding your market, you know, not what the label rap is pushing down your throat.
Hmm.
So I think I don't think they've come up with enough research methods to understand the listeners, or they're just lazy. Like maybe they could send out surveys and
Yeah, I feel like it's
figure
just
out
like
the listeners.
I feel like it's just laziness. Like not
Yeah,
even like I just feel like they just aren't putting enough dollars there. You know what I'm saying? Because you can find out the information. You
right.
can. It's there. They just haven't thrown enough dollars at it.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, even like you said, they could find the information even from their followers. I don't think they do enough information with their social media followers and try to cater to their followers and get better intel on their audience on social media.
hmm
So I think they're just so used to it being certain ways, and no one wants to step up and say, "But this can work." But the beauty is that the the older heads are going to get phased out, and the
I
younger
feel,
people
I
from
feel like those are the people that are really holding everything back. To
yeah,
be honest, I feel like those are the people that's really holding everything back. And even just when you talk about knowing your audience, like one thing that like my brand, like the way that we approach marketing, like the way that we approach marketing is like it's completely different than a way that majority. I won't say that the way that everybody, because that's just not true. But just the way that the majority of people are approaching marketing. It's like what we believe in what we believe in when it comes to marketing. We do something that's called like relationship and story built marketing.
Yeah.
So number one is relationship. So that's number one. So that just goes into knowing actually who you're talking to, like knowing exactly who you're talking to, know,
Right.
knowing what they like, knowing what they don't like, knowing their core belief system. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing,
Right.
like literally just getting to know who this person actually is, and then not even just stopping there, but actually interacting with this person, like interacting with this person. So like you can know a lot about a person, but if they don't really like you or whatever, then they won't really connect with you. You know what I'm saying? So like I
Yeah.
can know everything about you, but I've never talked to you before, and I can't reach you just because I've never talked to you before, even though I know every single thing about you. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never engaged with you, so it's no way that you ever buy something from me or ever,
Right.
do anything with me. So like number one, the way that we approach it is knowing exactly who you're talking to, and I feel like this is where a lot of artists miss at on social media specifically, is they don't know who their listener is. Like they make trap music, they don't know exactly who, what type of trap music their listener likes. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it's different formats of trap music. You got Ti type trap music, you got Chief Keef type trap music, you got uh who is it? Juice World, RP to Juice
Yeah.
World, you got his type of trap, you know what I'm saying? But you
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
exactly like who you're talking. You just know the overall genre trap. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
You don't specifically know exactly who that person is. So like number one, the way that we approach it is like you need to know exactly who you're talking to and actually interact with this person and talk to this person and build rapport with this person. You know what I'm saying? So that's number one. Then number two is attaching a story to whatever it is that you're marketing to that person. So like that goes into like, content, content and different stuff like that, other than just shoving a promo or advertisement down a person's throat. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like, I don't know, if you're a prime example of a person that's doing it a lot is Lil Nas X. When you look at Lil Nas X social media, it's content. Like he's forever post. You rarely ever see him throwing out a promotion. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
rarely, but you see him posting like a lot of content. That's literally even how he really got on. It's like just by knowing who his listener was, what they liked, what type of memes they liked, and whatever, and then sharing his personal story with this person through content and not through, you know, shoving a promo or advertisement down their throat. You know what I'm saying? So like when it comes to you know circling back to the radio promo in this and just that entire genre is like I really agree with you there on you literally just needed to know like exactly like who exactly who your exactly who your listener is, and I feel like radio will go a lot, go a lot further if if they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh,
And they have the tools. They're just not using them. Like the biggest tool is social media. They could use it as their biggest way to connect with people. The biggest way to better establish that emotional connection.
mm-hmm,
But it's almost like they just use it because they have to use it this day and age.
mm-hmm,
So it's but like you said, a lot of I feel like this day and age where it's a more transparent world, consumers can't be fooled because we're out of that mass market age. Now it's like, okay, how do you in what way are you perking me up?
mm-hmm,
Like what way do you make me feel good? Hold on
mm-hmm.
a second, hold on. Okay, my apologies.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Um, Yeah, so
So overall, it's just a lot more segmented. Everything just needs to be a lot more segmented and a lot more targeted. So like,
yeah, I mean, like, there's reasons why someone like Drake is so successful. Like, it's not an accident. Like, he understands he understands his listeners. He understands people, so he tries to relate his music, and he, as an artist or as a person, tries to relate to them. And like, you can tell he studies people, he studies what people are doing, he studies social media, what people are talking about.
mm-hmm,
So like, that's why he has so many records that people are connecting with, because he knows these days how people are feeling and what they're talking about. Like,
mm-hmm,
you need to have in your songs about what people are talking about these days, because it's a good thing. Like, yeah, you want to do it, make it your art, but you have to relate. Like, people have to relate to it to consume it. So
mm-hmm. I completely agree with that. Now let me touch on something. Now we all know, like how we were talking about, you can literally network your way into a deal. So a lot of things in the music industry is very fabricated and,
yeah.
and bought. So is it true that people can secretly get on the radio? You can buy your way on the radio. Is this a myth or is this true?
Um.
Can you pay a DJ to continuously spin your record?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not a myth. You can buy your way on the radio.
Yeah, but not. It's harder these days more than ever, because it's not gonna like if it's not gonna if it's not buzzing, there's no hype surrounding it. Then they're not gonna take a risk on it, even for the monetary part.
So I mean, what would be the risk that they're taking by spinning it?
Um, I mean, they could definitely get fired. They could lose their job, and then they could look whack too. Because if it's not something that's really moving or gonna move, then they're just gonna look bad.
Okay, okay. So pretty much, because this has been a myth, like a little mysterious little thing that's pretty much is always circling around. Like, can you buy slots on the radio? Me, I've always had a feeling that certain people that I knew in the entertainment industry bought their way onto the radio, but I never said anything. But I kind of had the feeling that that's what happened, but I just never said anything. So like, you kind of like confirming my thoughts my thoughts on that topic. Now let's talk about streaming platforms like Spotify and stuff like that. Now they have these mass playlists on Spotify,
Hmm.
right? Now is this a myth, or is this true that people are buying Spotify slots?
Nah, that's a myth.
So people aren't able to people aren't buying like their way into playlists.
No, because it has to. You gotta like the thing that you gotta keep in mind is Spotify's a tech money. It's not a music company, so they use data that was provided to them from Echo Nest that they bought, and they can see if the if listeners are reacting or not to the song. So if they're not reacting to it, they pull it.
Mm, okay.
Even if you had a good relationship to get it placed, if you were say an indie.
Hmm.
So
So okay. All right. So you busted that myth. Okay. So what about uh verified checks on social media?
I
Can you buy a verified check? Because me, I've seen people, I've seen people that nobody knows them and they have a check, but they're attached to a certain company. And I've seen people who are very well known and tons of followers, but they don't have a check when it just pertains to the entertainment industry. So are labels buying checks?
Nah, because I know particular artists on labels that the labels have had a hard time trying to get them verified.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what goes into that most is being Googleable, like highlights coming up on Google under the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I think, and this is something I can back you there because I feel like, and this is something that I talked about too. I feel like if artists literally buy press, they can get verified if they buy press. So like literally, if you went out and now I know for a fact this is not even something that that needs to be a myth. You can buy a Billboard article, you can buy a Forbes article, you can buy like you can buy write ups. So like I know that for a fact. So as far as I feel like labels are probably reverse engineering it and just probably just getting a bunch of press and media behind it, and whether it's even out there or not, just like how you said, just making sure they're Googleable, like to where if they Google their name, you will see a bunch of mass media companies talking about them, whether it's like public or not. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
yeah,
that's probably what labels are doing to like get artists.
I don't know. I mean, that works on relationships too. So I don't like. It's so funny you mention that because artists are so mesmerized by that blue check, and I don't think it really. I don't think it does much. I don't think consumers really care that much the way artists put weight into it. So
Um, I don't know.
I don't understand it.
I believe that it's the tier that you're at in your career. So I believe like if you're all right, let's just put it into three stages. Okay, you're in the stage, you're in the small indie stage. Then you're in a stage of you're about to get on, like you caught a buzz and you about to get on. Then you have that big stage where okay, you on and you moving. When you're in that bottom stage, in that almost to that mid stage right there, that verified check matters because oftentimes in that stage, people aren't taking you serious. You know what I'm saying? People aren't taking you serious, or you know, it's a lot of different things that go into like being an upcoming artist at that bottom stage. But I feel like that just makes you a lot more valid. Like it catches the person's attention. Because me personally, if a dude follow me and he have a SoundCloud link, and one, let's just say if it's two dudes, one has a verified and one doesn't, and they both have 500 followers. I'm going to look at the person who has a verified check before I look at the person who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? You know, if they both follow me.
I
So,
mean, yeah, it kind of gets attention, but it really what matters the most is the music. If the music is dope, it's gonna travel.
mm,
It's gonna. I've seen it happen many times. I'm seeing it like I've seen it happening right now with particular artists. If the music is dope, is I'm a firm believer that you can you can manipulate something or line things up, but the best marketing is word of mouth.
I agree.
If it travels through word of mouth, then making you look having verification to make it look like you're popping really because there's guys that are validated that have whack music. So like I said earlier, the truth always comes to light, and
Hmm.
well, in music, quality comes to light. That's what thing we. That's the sad thing about these days in the music industry. I'm glad you brought that up because I just thought of something. The sad thing about today is people are more about attention, grabbing attention. So they concern themselves more about getting people's attention rather than putting out dope fucking music. And that's the sad thing, where it's like, let me make a funny meme to try to get people's attention rather than put more of my most of my energy into making a great record. So it's like artists so putting their energy into trying to get verified and like getting their followers up is stupid. It's
Mm.
like
I, all right, this is how I,
listeners don't really. I'm telling you, listeners don't really care about like people how much like what people listeners don't care as much as people think they care about how many followers you are if you have a check. The
right.
music's gonna if the reason the reason things in entertainment do well, like movies and music, is because it sparks a feeling inside you.
Mm,
Music's gotta spark that feeling. If it sparks a feeling, then your then your music's hitting and it's resonating with people. You want the music to resonate with people. There's so much music these days that does not resonate with people.
mm-hmm.
So, and it's like I think, and it's got people thinking that you got to do this, you got to look crazy or talk shit on social media when it's like no, that's
I
that's
feel
not.
I feel like it's a I feel like it's a matter of I feel like it is a matter of having a product before you market it.
Yeah,
That's what I feel like. I don't feel like people are wrong. I don't feel like people are wrong for uh play putting that energy into their marketing, but I feel like people aren't marketing a product like they're you know what I'm saying, like it's kind of like I make an entire business. It's like okay, it's kind of like I build a restaurant, right? I build a restaurant
yeah.
and I market the fuck out of this restaurant, but I don't have any food to offer you in the restaurant at all. It's no tables in there.
But let's say you do have all that, but then people go and the food's whack. The food's just not good.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm
So
making.
how good is really the marketing?
That's what.
I mean,
So look,
how impactful is the marketing?
right. So like, I agree with you there. So what I'm saying is, people aren't taking the time to perfect their product or even make a product before they actually attempt to market the product. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, that's what I believe. Where I believe people are going wrong at when it comes to the music. I believe you make great music. Yes, you make amazing music. Put a lot of time into making amazing music, but also put that time and also put amazing amounts of time into the way that you market your music as well. Because you can make amazing music all day, but if nobody knows about it, then you just wasting your time. Unless it's a hobby. So like, but if you're in it to make money, of course, like number one priority, yes, have an amazing product because like music in general is like any other business. You know what I'm saying? Like we sell social media marketing products and services. That's our business. That's what we have. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And when it comes to artists, what they have is music. Like that's their product. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like us, if we don't have an amazing product, we can market the hell out of something. And when a person buys from us, is nothing and we won't make we want to have a very short time span in our industry. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
just like with musicians, like they can market the hell out of some music, but if okay, you get the person interested and then they come and listen to the music and it's whack, then it's like you're gonna have a very, very short career.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna have, like you just said, you're not gonna have longevity. Like
yeah,
that's like the old school blockbuster formula for movies. Buy a bunch of billboards and market the hell out of it. But if the movie's whack, then like it's not gonna have longevity, and that's what basically like people fall into the facade, trying to create the facade to get and then market the facade. Like if the marketing ends up working, then they have a big first week, and then but that's a Versage, so they market the hell out of that Versage. Say it went number one at the box office or number one album. Then they say they market that. Oh, this is the number one album. But then, like, there's always like this is the thing with data too that I'm trying to like really think about these days and tell people. There's always a story behind that. Like, and then look beyond it. How's it gonna do in the next 2 weeks? Or the next week, the week after that, the third week,
Mm-hmm.
the fourth week, the fifth week? Are people gonna be still thinking about it a year from now? Like, and then you see it these days. Like Post Malone's first album is still coming up in the charts. His second album still coming up in the charts a year when it's been out for 2 years or so. So does it stick? So like I feel like this is my like grunt with marketing too, is like they manipulate people and then they fool them. So
That's see, I agree with you on the manipulate because I always say marketing is nothing but a mind fuck. That's literally what it is. It's nothing but a mind fuck. But it's just all about, are you mind fucking a person into something good or into something bad? Like
but
that's
yeah.
that's what I think about it. Because even the way, even like how you have, I don't know. let's just think about. Matter of fact, let's just backtrack a little bit. Let's just backtrack a little bit. Ultimately, I just believe that I just believe that uh let's say, let me ask you this question. Where is the majority of the money that labels are where's the majority of the money going to in labels investing? Like when they invest in artists, where is the majority of the money going to?
Um Probably marketing and promotion, but I'm not really privy to that info.
So like just from my research is marketing, and pretty much what you said is marketing. A
Yeah,
lot of it is going into marketing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
right.
like the way that labels are set up, everything is set up to make a quick dollar. Like the way that everything is set up,
Yeah,
they're not approaching each artist like the artist is a business. They're approaching each artist like they're a side hustle, and
right,
that's
right.
the way that they're
More
approaching it.
than ever these days.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like they need to start approaching and even the way that artists think too. Like when we when we pretty much we a lot of times we have like artists come in, like we don't market ourselves towards artists, but artists come our way, and we have to really like shift the way that they think about the way that they do music. Like we have to literally tell them and like get them to understand like you are a business, like any like the car wash down the street, like the corner store, like Apple. You are a business, you know what I'm saying? So you have
Right,
a product, you have a great product or a shitty product, which is your music, you know what I'm saying? And you have a bunch of people around you, have staff, so you have your manager, you have your promotion team, just like how you go to a grocery store and they have the store manager, they have the cashiers, the janitor, and whatever. They all have their staff, and the grocery
right,
store's products is the food. Your product is the music. You know what I'm saying? So you number one make sure that you have an outstanding product, just like the
right,
grocery store makes sure they have outstanding food inside of the grocery store. Then
right,
you move out into, okay, how can I get people to care about this product and buy it? You know what I'm saying? How can I get people to care about this product and connect with the product to the point where they buy it? You know what I'm saying? And how can
right,
I get them to buy things outside of the actual product? Because you may go to the grocery store to get, a gallon of milk, but on your way to the checkout, they're advertising a boatload of other shit to you around that gallon of milk that you went and bought. So like that goes into like what we tell artists to do. Like if you have an anime brand, right? If your entire brand is centered around anime and your music is like, you got hip hop music, but you have an anime vibe, right? Okay, you're selling people your music, but sell them Naruto shirts too. Sell them
right, right,
shirts on the side. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's just centered around like your brand and what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? that can drive revenue in other places. You know what I'm saying? Artists are doing that kinda with
Yeah.
personal merch. You know what I'm saying? With personal merch, but not to the fullest extent that they could be doing it. Like how you mentioned Post Malone. Like Post Malone, he did a partnership with Crocs and it sold out of the Crocs like I think multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Did the posty Crocs. You know what I'm saying? So like literally just like approaching it like it's an actual business. And I think what labels are doing is they're approaching it like a side hustle. Like, because you see, when people do side hustles, they don't really put that much thought into brand, into
Right.
development or whatever. They just want to get some quick money. You know what I'm saying? So like when the labels are approaching the artists, they aren't putting dollars into artist development anymore, brand
No.
development anymore. They're not developing the product. They're just marketing the shit out of something that's halfway done. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Trying
right.
and trying to get a quick dollar. So like that's the way that that we just try to get artists to think, and I feel like we on the same page about that as well. Just the way that I just feel like labels would they get a lot more return on the dollar if they went back into perfecting the actual product that they're marketing.
Right. And I mean that's the problem too, is there's a big A&R problem these days where the A&Rs are not good these days, and I don't know if they fall into the trend where they think that people don't care, or they think people above them don't care, or they think that listeners don't care, or what. But it's an A&R problem, and I was just having this conversation with a legend in the music game. Actually, I'll tell you who it was offline, but he was uh, that is a big A&R problem, and like people are really like, you know, it's just so easy to figure out, and like how things aren't like how artists are just so simple, and um I think like you said, it's about the quick buck, and I don't even like I don't I don't even fall for the I don't even fall for the excitement of something going viral and thinking it's great, because there's got to be a story behind it. Like things could go viral just for like various reasons. So it's like they're just signing things once it go viral, and it's like they've kind of always been that, but I think they just had time. I think they had more time to. There was a lot more money because people were
Records
buying shit a lot more. They were actually buying shit, and they were seeing the money come faster.
that
So
makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and I think they had like, yeah, like people bought more, and the money was longer, so they could what was I saying? That lost my train of thought.
So you pretty much believe that, and I can back you up on this thought because I agree with it too, and I haven't really thought about it in this way, but since people aren't buying as many records anymore, and stuff is is pretty much where record labels are making up their investment at is really in shows and merch and
Well,
partners.
labels don't get much of that.
So anymore, just because people are getting smarter. So
No, I mean, it's a lot of artists are in 360 deals, but it's a small percentage of what they get from shows and merch. So
so where are the labels making their money at then?
it's still from the product. So what has really helped them the most now is the streams from back catalog. So being like Def Jam streams from DMX and LL Cool J. So streams really are what's powering labels.
So pretty much just holding royalties over.
Yeah,
Okay, that may
but
that
I think we're in a revolutionary stage where the next 2 years labels are gonna have to do do other aspects than what they're just used to doing and what they've been used to for the past 20 years. Like they're gonna, like I was reading this article, this interview from Troy Carter, who was at Spotify and he was Lady Gaga's manager.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying how they gonna, like you see agencies doing so much more than just booking shows. So for labels to really survive, they're gonna have to do so much more. Like it's, I think the deals are gonna change too. The structuring of deals are gonna change.
In what way?
I think everything's. I think there's gonna be some big changes in the next 2 years. I don't know how, but we're in a very innovating stage.
I feel like one thing that I definitely feel like, and this is going to segue into another thing too. Like, I wanted to talk a little bit about rollouts, but one thing I definitely feel like is going to change is there's going to be a lot of content based marketing. When it you're going to start seeing artists with cooking shows. You're going to start seeing artists with fucking how you see 2 Chainz going to buy the most expensive shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you're going to see a lot. Labels are going to start putting a lot of money in that as time goes on, because that's ultimately like what really like stories and content is what really like sells everything nowadays when it comes to streets. And that's something that you even seen with like the type of stuff that goes viral and the type of stuff that literally just keeps your attention. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I just feel like definitely labels are going to be putting the way that they structure their marketing is going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot of content based content based content based marketing. That's what I
Yeah.
feel. That's what I feel
I
like.
think I think that's a big thing because um, I think fans and consumers want to understand the artist better. It's over. Like the times of the artist being mysterious is over. Like there's still got to be a mysterious aspect, but like everything, transparency is huge these days. So um, I think it's I think I don't know, just big things are gonna. I just think artists are gonna just realize how much power and value proposition they have, and really, like small companies or companies that are focused on certain things will do much better. Like it's gonna go back to like it's literally in the phase where these smaller companies showing that they care more, they're going back to where like the big labels where they're lost in the sauce are gonna lose soon. So
Hmm. I completely agree with that. Now let's touch on something rollouts. How important is a rollout?
not as important as it used to be.
So when it comes to major artists or artists, period.
Artist period. I don't think like I think you gotta have people's attention, but I don't think it has to be. I don't think it has to be.
Because you see people like Beyonce, they don't need a rollout. Drake. Once you get past a certain, I can say once you go gold, like you don't really need a rollout anymore. Like you can kind of just drop. You know what I'm saying? Like once you could kind of just drop.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
what I'll say is I don't think you need a formulated rollout these days. I think I think that's still a rollout, but that's not formulated. Like like the old school way was just so formula. Put the record, get the record on radio, 4 weeks down the line, put the video out, get it on, moving on the video channels, press, and do press and talk about it, talk about the record, the video, maybe do one big show, a couple listening parties, buy some billboards. Like now it's so different where it's like, I don't really a dis. You could do so many different kind of strategies. It's
So
really
so it's ultimately what you're saying is it's going to be the importance of a rollout is still there,
yeah,
but the way that it's formatted, it can
anything.
it can
Yeah,
be okay. I agree with you there.
it has to. The reason I can't say a certain way because this is going back to what we were talking about earlier. I think that it's about understanding what would work for your audience. If the way you present or release your music or your body of work to your fans, your audience, and it works and it's successful, then it works for you.
Hmm.
So the problem with the past was everybody used the same formulaic rollout, like I just explained. So
I
now,
agree.
like you mentioned, Beyonce, that's not going to work for everybody. But you these artists have different ways of doing things, and like we talked about earlier, these artists aren't even using enough research to find out who their audience is and what their audience likes and their interests. So I think we're just scratching the surface of um, how they release their music and their work and their projects. So the more that they get deeper in understanding their audience, I think we're gonna see, excuse me, better releases. Not better music, but like more interesting, I should say.
I agree. Now, one thing though, speaking, and the reason I brought up rollouts is because we know that an artist that's up there, they're gonna have a rollout. But indie artists don't understand the importance of a rollout. Like when you see regular, like small artists or upcoming artists, none of them really have a real rollout. Either they don't know what a rollout is, or they don't understand the importance of a rollout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just getting you to actually clarify that and actually say like the importance of a rollout, is actually an important thing to have. Is like it's major. And then even the formula, the way that you do it, you have so much more freedom now because of the times that we're in. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It is even more major too. So, you know, I like what you said there. Now let's talk about the label for a little bit. What's some of the and this we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, but what's some of the biggest artists that you've seen come through the label?
Um, I would say Logic.
Hmm.
Logic's probably the biggest one in my time being there.
Hmm. I mess with Logic. I mess with Logic crazy. I definitely mess with Logic. I definitely mess with him. Okay. So what about let's see. What about executives? What's some of the biggest like behind the scenes guys that you've seen run through the label?
Um, I haven't experienced any
Really?
big ones. Yeah,
So
I've experienced.
how does the entire hierarchy at the label go? Like who actually gets in front of these execs? Is there like you got to call this person to get to that person, and call another person to get to that person, and call another person to get to that person, and then you end up in front of? Because some companies are, well, not some, a lot of companies are formatted that way,
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know. I don't really know the hierarchy like in that sense.
Hmm.
I think
So
it just depends on departments.
how hard? All right, we can literally answer this question like this: How hard would it be for you to call the CEO of Def Jam and get on a call with him?
Um,
And that would explain the entire hierarchy right there. That would literally explain it.
Without pretty hard.
That explains it right there. Because some companies you can literally, let's think of let's think of an example. Flame the Cheeto company, right?
Yeah,
The way the Flaming Hot Cheeto started was it was a janitor that worked there, right? And they brought in, and for some reason, like a lot of stuff was going on with the company. They weren't really selling. They needed a new product, yada yada yada.
yeah,
And a new CEO came in. The old one before it was a hierarchy where it was like, unless you speak to 5 different people, you're never going to talk to me. It's pretty much impossible for you to get in touch with me.
right.
Then you have this new CEO come in. He's like, I'm taking ideas from everybody. Like, I don't care if you just came in and you're a line worker or you're the CFO of this company. I'm going to take I'm going to take your call.
Yeah,
He ends up taking a call from a janitor, not even like a line worker, a janitor in the company, and the janitor ends up creating one of the best selling products that ever existed in that
that's
business.
crazy.
It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like just the way the entire hierarchy stuff goes, and the
Right,
janitor made
right,
hot Cheetos. So it's like from his own formula, him and his wife made too. It's literally it's a crazy story, but like that's an entire different conversation in itself. Just like the way that the hierarchies and stuff like that
right.
at the labels go, and and one last little question. Now, there's a lot of people in the industry. How do you feel like there's people faking their importance?
Yeah, all the time.
Like they'll they'll be a door opener at a label, right? And then as long as you have that stamp on your name, as long as you have that stamp on your name, and I think we both know a couple people who do this,
Yeah,
but we're not going to name any names. So they just have a stamp on their name and they literally like drag their importance in the company and like deceive people on what they actually do. Just pretty much ride the name of the company
yeah.
to the dirt. Are there people like that in there, and are there people like that in the industry, like scamming people on that, like saying like, hey, like I do this, you pay
Oh,
me.
yeah, yeah. All the time. All the time.
So what are some tips
I
that
mean,
you think?
there's it. I think it's okay to use brand recognition to get someone's attention,
I agree.
as long as, like, say, you work for Nike, people's antennas are gonna raise because they think that's cool. It's got
I
the cool
agree.
factor.
I agree.
But then you go on to but then as you get talking, people can really see who you are and what you can do. So yeah, I think that's okay to use recognition, the brand alignment, I should say, that you're under. So
Right, I agree with that. Now, where I was segue into is you have people scamming indie artists there. So like, what are some tips or some ways that you can think of for artists to avoid getting scammed by a brand writer?
I mean, the best tip I can give is just be patient. Be patient and have a wide perspective on who the person is and not a short-sighted perspective. Don't get all excited. Just do your research and figure the person out.
Hmm.
Just just be patient. Don't get all excited, ready to throw your money at this person. Like, and really anybody can get scammed in life because they're not patient and they just jump at, oh, this sounds great. Here's my information. Let's go. Like, it's just about patience, really.
Hmm.
Don't jump at the what this person's saying, because a lot of times, like, you're not a salesman, but a lot of times salesmen are just being manipulative just to get you. So
Hmm.
they're talking to you a certain way just to get you.
Hmm.
Like, see through that and
Hmm.
figure out why you guys came into contact.
Mm-hmm.
They just start talking to you, or did you guys organically come into contact?
Mm-hmm.
So right away, just try to figure out the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's If someone's selling you something hard, then that should raise a flag right there, and you should take your time because you shouldn't need to. If someone genuinely likes something or is interested in it, then you shouldn't have to sell them that hard. Like it's just okay. And that goes for anything in life. You know,
So
like
you
even if you have a friend trying to sell you something hard, you don't have to necessarily give them something monetary just because they're your friend. Like it don't make sense. Like you don't have to support it in that way.
hey, man. The reason I asked this question, man, I've heard so many horror stories. It's ridiculous, bro. Like I've heard
Yeah, I mean, I
shit,
hate to be like this, but
fake showcases,
right. I mean,
fake A&Rs. Like,
I hate to be like this, but they only have themselves to blame. You know,
hmm
like I don't like you. Your mind is your strongest muscle. Like don't jump at everything you're seeing, and think first. Think and try to understand things. Like don't control your desires and just understand how your mind works and put yourself in their shoes and do some research on the person because these days everybody has social media.
hmm
Find out who the person is. If they're creating this whole image on social media, then that should be a flag right there too. So just yeah, you can't. I mean, it. I can see how you can blame the person selling it, but then you got to blame that person.
who was dumb enough to buy it.
Yeah, no, but not only that, you got to blame that person at Foot Locker trying to sell you water repellent for your sneakers. When why do you need water repellent for your sneakers? Who's jumping in puddles? Like you know, right there. It's the sad thing is we're in a capitalism society where capitalism and greed control so much, and they just try to make money. So
hmm
it's just like you think about what you need or what you don't need.
hmm So
So
I feel you on that tip, man. So that's those are the questions I got for you right now. We've been on this podcast for a good minute. It don't even feel like we've been on here for this long, man. For
yeah,
real.
we have man, we
Yeah,
have.
this is definitely good. So what I want you to do is I want you to let people know. I want you to let people know like where they can find you. Where they can find you on social media. Before we end out before we end out the show. Just let
Yeah,
people know
right.
Instagram.
Okay, cool, no problem. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at my name, which is I am John Rossi. So that's JohnRossi on both Instagram and Twitter.
Bet. So hey,
Easily approachable, so
he definitely is, man. Super cool dude, super humble guy. So look, we're gonna attach his social media down below in the description. So if you want to go follow him, maybe you ask him a couple questions. Maybe you want to eventually do some radio promo in the future and want to know some tips on how you can get in the game or things about the career field. So go ahead, follow him there, shoot him a couple questions, whatever. And once again, bro, I want to just thank you for having you on the show.